Welcome back to the Mental Manny podcast. My name is Rossi, and today, too much energy. Cancel that. Today, I wanted to speak about my experience of being in a psych ward. Being in a psych ward does not mean you are crazy. It doesn't mean you're crazy, it means you're struggling. That's one thing I wanted to clear up. The stigmas we have on mental health at the moment in this country disgrace people with mental health because you're a person who's dealt with difficult things, and I'm not saying you deserve some kindness, but you deserve some respect for what you're going through. My experience in the ward, I was put under section, so I wasn't allowed to leave. If you don't know what a section is, you're not allowed to leave. Pretty much, that's standard. There's section 2, section 3, and section 4 or 5, I think. I can't remember. Don't remember much about being actually put into the ward, but I remember waking up there after an experience which I'll talk about in another video, but we're talking about the ward today. So spent 4 days there, had my evaluation by a doctor and had an evaluation from a psychologist, had blood tests, had all kinds of different tests. I was the youngest person to ever be admitted to that mental health ward, and my experience overall was good with the ward. The people there treated me with respect, they understood me, and they are the only reason why I was able to leave. So it's important to have good people surrounding you in a ward, which is difficult because you don't know who they are, you don't get to pick who they are, you just get put in a ward, you get put wherever is available. And so I get put in, and the first thing I remember was being at this reception type desk. I thought, oh, maybe I'm in a hotel type thing. I was under the influence of a lot of stuff at this point. Didn't realise what had just happened in the whole past 12 hours of leading up to being put in there. I actually don't remember any journey going there or coming back. So I'm put in there, see this desk, people are speaking to me. I'm like, oh, I'm clearly back in the hospital. Didn't know I was in a ward. Just seemed like a hospital to me. Staff are speaking to me, trying to ask me questions and evaluate me and just write things down. And they were really, really nice. But then I got told that I was under section, and I completely lost my mind again, because I wasn't actually told before that I was put under section, that I wasn't allowed to leave. Because I said, as soon as I got in there, 10 minutes, I started freaking out. I was like, I want to leave, I want to go. And I was really, really starting to melt down. So I was like, right, I'm leaving, I'm getting my stuff, I'm going. Do you know what I mean? So I walked to the door, they're like, you can't leave. And I'm like, I can do whatever I want, I'm within my rights to leave. And they're like, no, you're under section, you're not allowed to leave, you're not within your rights, we have your rights now. And we are going to keep you here until we see fit for you to leave. And obviously that clicked in my head at that moment, and I was like, I wasn't told this, people are lying to me, and I have an issue with that. So I flipped out and I said, right, you try and stop me from leaving, right? And this is where it gets a bit crazy. I'm like, no one's going to stop me from leaving where I want to leave. I'm going to do what I want. So I'm like, let me out now, otherwise I'm going to hurt someone, or I'm going to hurt myself. And at this point, I begin to get really, really agitated. I'm starting to get aggressive. They're like, you need to calm down, it's going to be alright. And I'm like, no, it's not. And I start flailing and doing this, that and the other, and they're like, you really need to calm down. I'm like, okay, whatever, you're lying to me, other people are lying to me, I'm not gonna calm down for people who lie to me. So I turn around and with both fists start punching the wall as hard as I could. Wouldn't stop. I was shouting, screaming, punching this wall. I broke these two fingers, and I think I popped all these knuckles, popped the knuckles on this hand, broke these two fingers here, and I damaged my other ones. I was bleeding. They had to call all the security from that ward. They're like trying to drag me down. I'm resisting everyone. They're trying to drag me down to the ground. I'm basically in this fuss with security again, and I hate authority, so I used all my force not to. But eventually, these like 5 guys trying to pull me down. I end up falling to the ground. I start crying, snot, blood everywhere. And at this point, they remove all the furniture, all the people from the room, and it's just you and a bunch of fucking security guards. So, crazy experience. After that, they shove a pill down my throat. I calmed down. And then they were like, right, not only are you under section, but we're moving you up a section. We can't have you in this ward. So we're moving you. I'd already seen the other ward. And that's the long-term ward. That's the long-stay ward, as they call it. But that's for people who lash out at the security, lash out at people who are a threat to themselves and other people. So they have a long stay ward and a short term ward. I was in the short term ward, but they wanted me to move because of that concurrent action. And I begged and begged and begged. I'd never begged more, and I'd never promised more that I'd be good. Like I wouldn't do it again, and that I was sorry. And thankfully they understood. I said, this isn't, I'm not crazy, I'm not psychotic, I swear. And they kind of looked at me and said, yeah, but you've just done this. And I'm like, yeah, I know how it seems, but think about it from my position. I'm 19 years old. Well, not 19, 20 years old. I've been admitted to a ward. People have lied to me. All this type of stuff, so I explained it. They understood. I said, oh, I'll settle in. Laid out all my stuff. They take away your phone charger, your headphones, anything that you could use to harm yourself. I'm there trying to introduce myself to people. Everyone else in there was around 40, 30 years old. I'm there 20. Like young 20 as well. Introduced myself to them, and I met some really lovely people there who were very supportive and had very difficult lives and difficult situations. Shout out all the people there. Shout out the staff. I'm not going to mention names because I feel like that's super unprofessional, but if they're watching this and they know who I am or remember me, shout out them. Honestly, I wouldn't be here without them, do you know what I mean? I had a really good experience. So first day, I'm just like introducing myself to people, and I had a bit of a weird time with the guy that was moving out of the ward, and I was taking his bed. That was the only way I was available for there, is that he was leaving. He'd been discharged and I was moving in, type of thing. And there's always some conflict between men in a ward, because especially when you're the young guy, young skinny dude, like you're new, there's a little bit of a conflict of interest. There's very little trust there, but over the days that I spent, the trust kind of builds up. And honestly, the staff are really nice. They control your medication there. They still give you your medications. You get extra medication there as well, because of the experience you've just been through. They will give you other stuff that you can't get outside of the ward, because it's all part of the treatment there. You're meant to be around people that have been through stuff. You need to be calm, so they need to have you in a space where you're not gonna just flip out and hurt someone. Not to a point where they're like just medicating you for the sake of it. You've got to be going through it for them to medicate you, but at the same time they're a bit more lenient with medication in there because you're under a controlled circumstance anyway. So I spent most of my day stood outside. There's a little garden patch. There's 4 beds in the ward. So like you go into a room, 4 beds, and I was on one of them. There was a ex-MMA fighter in there, big dude. There was a guy who'd had a really tough time with homelessness, and another dude who was like, I can't remember what his occupation before all of it was, but all really nice people. 4 beds, and then there's this like little out garden thing, like just a patch of grass and a bench, and this thing in the wall where you can light your cigs. You have to put your cig in it and it'll heat up. There's no lighters allowed, so that's the only thing that you could use. You kind of go up to it with the cig in your mouth and it looks like you're kissing the wall. People there, we used to call it, when you go out for a cig, you're gonna go kiss the wall type thing. And massive fences everywhere. It feels like prison. It says closer experience to prison as you'll get than going to prison. You have to eat at a certain time. You have to wake up at a certain time. You go to bed at a certain time, and you wash at a certain time. So it is very like prison, but it's like good prison. You're there to try and recover. You're there to try and sort out what was going on with you and kind of get a better diagnosis than you could get anywhere else. And this is where I got diagnosed with borderline, complex PTSD and stuff like that. So late on in my life, and he figured it out, gave me a sheet and said, does this seem like you? And I remember I just started shouting. I was like, what the hell, man? Like, I read this and I was like, where's this been my whole life? That is me on a piece of paper. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm glad that you think my evaluation was like fitting, and I'm glad that we can kind of get to the bottom of it rather than have to have you in for a lot longer for us to figure out what was going on with you. You've been very cooperative, and cooperation is a big part of it. Like, you gotta cooperate with the scheme for it to work for you, and I knew this, so I went along with it and I got the answers I needed and on my road to recovery, you know. But spent 4 days there. First day, just sat outside smoking. Smoked about 20 cigs a day, 30. There was a TV, but we're only allowed to watch it at certain times in the day, and it was very basic TV. I don't watch TV, but I learnt to watch TV there. You basically just sit and talk to people, and sometimes you're not talking to people, sometimes it's quiet, sometimes everyone's depressed, sometimes some people are going through something, do you know what I mean? But it kind of felt like a family. It really felt like a family. And I was, when it's time to leave, not only did I feel sad that I'm like leaving these people I've just made really good friends with and they felt like a family, but I felt bad for them because they're not leaving. And it's difficult when you're in there and someone's leaving and you're not, because I experienced that and then they had to experience that as well. And it's tough, man. Like, not only is it a tough time in your life, but you've got these newfound friends and stuff that you've got to leave. And it's a all-around tough experience, but I feel like it's a good experience because it's treatment, do you know what I mean? It's treatment when no one else will treat you, and you clearly haven't been treated properly in the system before, and this kind of gives the alert signal to the system to be like, right, this person really needs treatment and they really need help after they come out. They're more serious case than we previously imagined. So I really believe that it was a good experience. 4 days. I didn't really spend that long there, as I'm sure people figure out. Like you can be in a ward for a long time. I was lucky in some senses, and I was very cooperative. But that's my experience of the ward. There was some crazy stuff that happened. Guy tried to hang himself with his clothes while I was there, while I was asleep. People were stealing each other's like tobacco, like out of the backy pouch, and then there was people sneaking in alcohol, getting drunk while they were taking their meds. There was quite a lot of crazy stuff went on. People were finding ways to try and self-harm. Other people were just some shady stuff, do you know what I mean? But what do you expect is you're getting people from all walks of life, and it's an experience in its own right. But it's an experience that you'll have, and you'll be so glad when you leave that you never want to go back. I say it's a good experience but it's not a place where I ever want to go back to again. And I think they make it like I'm pretty sure anyone who's been in a ward, if you have to go back because maybe one of your mates is in a ward, or if you're at a point where like they even suggest like, oh, you might need to have a bit more treatment, maybe go into a ward, you're kind of like, hell no, I'm good, I'll sort out my own shit, I don't need to go back, because you got lucky once in it, and it's just like, nah. It makes you a bit more stern, makes you a bit more like, yo, I really gotta sort out these issues, because otherwise then you'll just be going around in circles, and you could be in there for a lot longer, and there's no opportunity in there, do you know what I mean? There's no jobs, there's nothing, you're stuck in a room and you're under surveillance, you can't live a normal life doing that. So yeah, that is my experience with a psych ward, and thankfully I've not been back since, and hopefully, well, I'm saying this, not hopefully, I am not going back anytime soon, I can promise you that. But yeah, that's my experience with it. Let me know if you've had experiences with a ward or something of the sort, like psych eval or something like that. Let me know down in the comments, or send me a message. I will be sure to reply to them. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.